The whale that made $200 million shorting Bitcoin down to 100K is back at it again with another short. Does this mean it's time to turn bearish? In today's video, I'll be telling you what my key invalidation levels are and why I still remain bullish in this market in the short term as well as the medium term. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So first things first, this same whale is now shorting Bitcoin. He made 200 mil down to 100K, and now he moved around $30 million to hyperliquid and is shorting again. His position is currently sitting at around $122 million, and it appears that he also moved $540 million of Bitcoin to new wallets in the past week, $220 million of which has been transferred to Coinbase. Presumably, this is to sell. But if we take a look at the Bitcoin chart, as per my last videos, I still remain in the short term more bullish than most. The reason why I say this is because one, we had the liquidation wick, then we had a higher low, and now I believe we are currently trying to form another higher low for Bitcoin. You can see that we got rejected at a very, very important level, which I discussed in yesterday's video. That was the key confluence zone here on the chart. This zone, $112,000, the 4-hour downtrend, as well as the value area low and the bull market support band. In my opinion, this is going to be a pretty significant level to overcome. But as per yesterday's analysis, if we can manage to hold above these levels as support, we break the 4-hour downtrend, we break above the bull market support band, we hold above that previous all-time high set at $112,000 earlier in the year, and above the value area low, at this point, it's time to be max bullish. But there was always a chance here that we were going to see some kind of rejection. It's not an easy area to break through. Now, I also wanted to show you this, which is the Bitcoin CME gap. You can see that we still have a little bit of that gap to fill, which actually brings us all the way down to around 107.2K. 107.2K, does that ring a bell? Well, that is the key level that we need to try to maintain to form that higher low on the daily timeframes. And so if we are to zoom out here on the daily, let's see what we're looking at here. First, we have that initial wick down here. Then we went ahead and filled most of that wick as we discussed on the channel. And right now we are testing this key region. To be perfectly honest, I don't want to see us confirm a daily candle below this level. Otherwise, things will be looking a little bit shaky and we could be in for a lot more chop before we go ahead and move higher. Key thing here, that is still my base case. I think we move higher out of this, but ideally, we can reclaim this level and start to get closes here. We break this downtrend, and then we end up forming that higher low. So perhaps we go ahead and fully fill that CME gap before price can resume its uptrend. Let's see how it plays out. In the immediate short term though, I still think that Ethereum is a better risk to reward play than Bitcoin. Of course, Bitcoin determines the rest of the market, and that's why I keep on looking at Bitcoin to help me make my decisions trading the rest of the crypto market. That being said, Ethereum is still holding above its own bull market support band. We are still seeing a little bit of a downtrend on the 4-hour time frame if I zoom in here, and we did get rejected at a key level. However, this higher low structure on the shorter time frame is still intact. So I'm waiting to see the resolution of Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin does get the bounce that we're looking for right around these levels, then it's highly likely that on the next test of 112K, give or take a few $100s, this massive confluence zone, we will likely hold it as support and then move higher. This is what I'm currently targeting. Now, if we really are to zoom out and take a look at what is the most important level after this key confluence zone, in my opinion, it would be all the way up here. I know that's a pretty big ask at this point in time, which is right around below $116,000, 115 to 116, but you can see that we have this cluster here. And so if Bitcoin is to even make it to this level, even if we get an immediate short-term rejection here and we come back down, making it as high as here and liquidating a lot of these shorts, in my opinion, would be a very bullish sign, and we would likely go ahead, revisit these levels, and then make a brand new all-time high, naturally with Ethereum leading the way. If Bitcoin is to continue up from here, I still think ETH goes ahead and outperforms. Speaking of which, if we take a look at the ETH Bitcoin chart, you guys know I like to look at this one. You can see that we did indeed have a wick down to the bull market support band. So perhaps we go ahead and revisit one last time time, ETH against Bitcoin that is, and then we go ahead and move higher. Base case is still higher. Now, if we zoom out even more, if you've been watching the channel, you know exactly what I'm about to say. My key invalidation here for the bull market's integrity is still $98,000. Now, I know that might scare most if we are to go down and revisit these levels, but until we confirm weekly closes below 98K, I'm not willing to call it quits. And so yes, I did enter a long, preparing for a little bit of upside here. However, if my long gets stopped out and we end up moving lower here, I would not be giving up right at $98,000. We would have to get the confirmed closes below. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to see whether or not we can confirm above 107.2K after getting yesterday's quick rejection. Now, I also wanted to talk about, of course, the Bitcoin dominance uptrend. Look, I still think that Bitcoin dominance continues to increase, and these market conditions are exactly why I've continued to stay in my Bitcoin dominance long trade, simply because we get a pump, we start to see some different crypto assets outperforming Bitcoin, and then immediately when we get a retracement to test a key level, you can see that one, everyone is freaking out, but two, this is the environment where Bitcoin dominance continues to thrive. So, as I've said several times, still vocally long on Bitcoin dominance, although I did go ahead and secure some profits. Now, I also wanted to talk about the total crypto market cap chart. This one we need an update on because you can see that we did indeed get rejected at one of the previous all-time highs and at the bull market support band. This is ultimately not what you want to see for the total crypto market cap because we want to reclaim this bull market support band and this high to see continuation. Otherwise, we could end up bleeding lower. This is something you need to consider. And on the same token, for stocks, you can see that pre-market is red today. Yesterday we were green. And for crypto as a whole, we saw some outflows for the Bitcoin spot ETFs, despite the fact that stocks continue to soar higher, stocks almost making a new all-time high once more. 40 million in outflows for the Bitcoin spot ETF, and for Ethereum, we saw around 145 million in outflows as well. Now, something to consider here is that typically when we have a massive dump, a huge liquidation event, we tend to see the selling slowly reverse. You could see here 500 million, 366 million, 40 million yesterday. Now perhaps we start to turn a corner here and this starts to reverse. Let's see how it plays out. I also quickly want to touch on Trump's tariff rhetoric once more. Yesterday he came out and said that China may pay a 155% tariff if there is no trade deal by November 1st. And we also have the fact that he came out shortly after saying that he will be making a strong trade deal with China. This just keeps on going back and forth. And on top of that, he is to visit China in 2026 after being invited by the Chinese president. So let's see how this plays out. But what you need to consider here is that when we have this kind of rhetoric and we also have this kind of manipulation, a massive whale once more entering shorts, maybe it's time to be cautious. That being said though, if you get good entries on your trades, there's not that much to be stressed about. You can see that I'm still in my Ethereum long position. This position was shared in my free premium group. If you want to be actively trading this market, whether we go up or down and see some solid profits in your portfolio, I would highly recommend that you click the first link in my description down below. This group is essentially my own personal trade setups. It's not bullshit signals. There's not signals posted every single day. It's how I am personally using my own capital to trade this market. So if that sounds interesting to you, you do have that first link in the description down below. You click this link, DM me the word premium on Telegram, and I would be happy to onboard you into my free premium group. The only requirement, as I have to say, is you sign up with one of my affiliate exchange links and you start trading on there. It's completely free. You trade with your own capital. That sounds interesting? Links in the description down below. Now, last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up this video. You can see here that we are getting a little bit of a rejection. So in the short term, I don't want to see us get a daily close below around $107,000. We can easily go down and fill the CME gap, bringing us all the way down to these levels. However, I would like to see a reversal from this point on, because in my opinion, this would really lock in another higher low. You can see once more that we have that wick set for the liquidation event, and now right as I'm recording this video, we can likely get another higher low. So let's see, tapped into this level, tapped into this level, and right now this should in theory be the reversal. If it breaks down, and we end up coming down to these levels, I will be reassessing my current trading position. But right now, at this point in time, this is a pivotal zone for us to hold. And I'm not just pulling these numbers out of nowhere. You can see why 107 is so important, because this was the pivot point that sent us to brand new all-time highs on the first attempt. So if we manage to hold here, lock in that higher low, then at that point in time, I do think we are very, very solid for continuation to break this 4-hour downtrend, but also get another test of this key confluence zone. Remember, previous all-time high around $112,000 set at the beginning of the year. The bull market support band, which historically likes to hold as support if we are to continue an uptrend, and the value area low of this region. This is crucial to break, as I talked about in yesterday's video. We got rejected the first time around. Will the second attempt allow us to move higher out of here? Only time will tell, and I'll make sure to keep you updated as the price action develops. And that sums up today's quick video. I still think we have one last leg to this bull market cycle. I have to keep reiterating this, even if we end up getting rejected at these regions. I have seen the comment section down below. Some of you guys are nervous whenever the price drops by a few $1,000s. But in my opinion, this is the perfect opportunity for Bitcoin to create a higher low before we continue our uptrend after this massive liquidation event. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.